Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the, is it March? No. Yeah. Gosh, it's
Yes,
March. Yeah.
March.
End of
March,
March.
March Cyber Security Meetup, or just the meetup. Today, we're going to be talking about Microsoft's Copilot for M365 and some of the differences between that and the free version, as well as some other, do some demos and show you how it works. With me, as always, I have Anil Melwani and Jeff Dix, and we all want to welcome you again to this session. You do have a Q&A button if you want to ask questions. We'll be happy to answer those during the session. We have dedicate half an hour to this. We're respectful of your time and want to make sure that we get you back to work after our 30 minutes. And if we don't get to your question during that time frame, we'll be sure to reach out and respond afterwards. So with that, Microsoft Copilot. It's been 2 years now since Microsoft has released the original Copilot. It was essentially a free version of OpenAI's ChatGPT with a few tweaks that Microsoft made to it. It's still available. You can go, it's available through the Edge browser as well as out in copilot.microsoft.com. And you can use it to some extent. It's not as powerful or as comprehensive as the paid version, much like OpenAI has the free version of ChatGPT and then the paid version. And you would think that Copilot, because it's based on OpenAI's technology, would be, almost a carbon copy of ChatGPT, but that's not the case. It has slight differences, and if you, test it, you'll see that if you use the same prompt on both, you're going to get slightly different responses. After it released a free version, Microsoft decided that they were going to package Copilot within the framework of their Microsoft 365 platform. That's the platform that has, Outlook email, has Word, Excel, all the other applications. And they were going to add Copilot as kind of an assistant, a digital or virtual assistant within all of the applications. It's starting originally with Outlook, Word, and Excel, and now it's available across the board on pretty much every application that's in the Microsoft 365 platform. And soon to be more being added. They've added it to their security platform, Purview. Jeff is going to talk about that a little bit later. But Copilot for M365 has become a very powerful tool that's available to anybody that has an M365 subscription, consumer or business. It's an add-on. It runs around $360 a year. And some people might think, well, that's a lot of money for, something that you use rarely, but I'll show you, and we'll show you that it can be a really powerful assistant to you and save you tons of time and pay for itself really within the first month. What do you guys think? You've been using it now for close to, a little over a year, I think. What do you think about Copilot?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I mean, in the first iterations, it felt like Clippy on steroids, if everyone remembers what Clippy used to be like.
Yep.
But
I
the
miss
more you
Clippy.
use it, the more you realize just how powerful it actually is. I think we've used the analogy before. It's like having an unpaid intern that you don't really know what they're capable of until you actually start giving them things to do, and then it can do it. Like for me, the biggest one, because I'm in Teams a lot and I'm in my email a lot, and it's hard to stay on top of everything that you need, from those, is the summarizer. Like if you've been out of the office for a day and there's an email with a really long thread that, there's parts of this email that are important to you, but you don't want to have to find them. You can summarize it and it'll pull out anything that's more specific to you or action items that you need to take care of. The same with Teams chats and things like that. So for me, that's where I really get the power, is the time saver aspect of it.
Yeah, I'd agree. Time saver is definitely a characteristic of Copilot. For me, I do a lot of research, being the chief security officer. And you go to different websites and you got to read the websites, and then you got to kind of compile that information. With Copilot, I can just put in, a prompt that asking for specific information about a specific topic. It does a research and produces a document, within, less than a minute or two. which, was a big time saver for me. I might spend an hour or a couple of hours doing research, whereas as Copilot, as my assistant, does that research and delivers the results of that research in a very understandable and straightforward way. So that's how I use it. And as I use it more, I become a bigger fan of it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that I really like about it. Anil, you talked about Microsoft Teams, and we are very Teams centric at ATG. We use it for all of our meetings. We use it for this webinar. We like the product a lot. And Copilot for Teams lets you do some really fun things. Like, for example, if you're in a meeting like this one, we are currently recording and transcribing it. And at the end of the meeting, Copilot will do an intelligent recap of the meeting. It will go in, look at the transcription, and then create a recap that summarizes the meeting, and then highlights any action items that it detects during it identifies during the meeting. So it saves you from having to take notes, right? You don't have to worry about making sure that you capture everything, because Copilot is doing it for you. And more importantly, it lets people who can't attend the meeting. So, for example, when we do our company meeting this afternoon, we'll record that and transcribe it, and there'll be a recap. And it's available to anybody that wasn't able to attend the meeting itself. Rather than listening to the recording or reading the transcript, they can just look at the summary, the recap, and the action items that come out of it, and they'll be caught up. And interestingly enough, that feature is available if you don't want to do the whole Copilot, invest in Copilot, the $360 that I mentioned earlier. You can get Microsoft Teams Premium, which is about $10 a month. So it's a little cheaper, and that will give you all that power of the Copilot AI, but just within Teams. You're not going to have it available anywhere else. If you want to test it out and don't want to spend the money all up front, try doing that. Give us a call. We'll be happy to set that up for you. There's even a trial that you can fire off for 30 days and play with it and decide whether you want to keep it or not. So let's, enough talking. Let's do some demoing.
That's some fun.
Yeah. So Anil, why don't you get us started?
Sure, happy to. All right, let me share out my screen here. All right, can you see my little spreadsheet here?
We can.
Okay.
Perfect. So, I just went ahead and grabbed some sample data off of the internet, just because, I want to make sure I'm cognizant of sharing any real information out there. But, here at Alvarez Technology Group, we take our customer satisfaction and net promoter score very seriously. So, I went and scoured the internet for some sample data sets that were kind of along the same lines. As you can kind of see from here, it's a call center sentiment. So trying to get feedback from clients on how their experience was calling into this call center. So there's a lot of data here, a lot of negatives, neutrals, positives, very positives, along with what the actual CSAT score was and things along those lines. You can see there's a lot of data here, and it's like, well, if I want something specific out of it, yeah, you can manually do it, but bring up the old friend Copilot here, and of course, it gives you some options right off the bat. But I'm just gonna ask it some things, just so I can kind of get the data analysis done without me having to do it manually. And I'm not great with Excel, so it would take me forever to do it. Let's say, can you tell me how many neutral reviews he received? And so what Copilot will do is basically take the question, it'll analyze my data, and it's already learned, okay, these are the rows and the columns that have got the amount of data, and there you go. It counted 9. There are 9 rows that have the neutral sentiment in them. And you can add that to a new sheet if you wanted, or you could copy it, or you could do something more like, what is the average CSAT score for all positive reviews? And again, it's already analyzing the data because it knows what fields those are in. And very quickly, the average CSAT score for positive was 7.7. So that's the kind of stuff that it can do really quickly, really powerfully, that you don't have to do manually yourself anymore. You can even, manipulate the actual sheet if you want. Like, for example, please highlight all the positive rows in green. There we go, and we can apply it. And there we go. It's gone and found all of the rows where the sentiment was positive and highlighted them green. So
Anil, we didn't rehearse this ahead of time, obviously, because I'm going to ask a question and I don't know what the answer is going to be, but let's try it anyway. What if you asked it to analyze the data and let you know, is there anything you should be concerned about?
Sure.
Rodney, I saw your question, and the answer is yes, it can create a report from scratch. If you feed it the data, it will be able to manipulate it any way you want to. So again, I don't know what the answer is going to be, but I'm always excited to see what it says.
I know, right? I haven't tried to see the. Maybe it'll tell us, don't do business in California because nobody seems to like you.
We're really living on the edge now, guys.
So it says for sentiment positive, the CSAT score has an outlier called timestamp 123.24. See the pivot chart above for more details.
Not sure what that means, but
yeah, me either.
I asked that because earlier this year I got a NDA form from one of our vendor partners, and it was a little unusual format, one that I'm not used to. So I put it into Copilot, and I said, read this document and highlight any concerns that I might have. And it pointed out some things. Like I said, well, you're obligated to do this, and the term of this is 3 years, which is unusual. So it just highlighted some of the things that I might have caught if I was reading it myself. But that's what Copilot does, is it just saves you time. And you can go in, for example, in an Excel spreadsheet and say, create a pivot table for me, or you can say, render this data in a chart form, and it'll create the chart. You don't have to know how to do these things. It does it for you.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go into Word. I'll share my Word, and I'm going to share a couple things that I want to show you. And yes, Rodney, this is the paid version. So this is the Copilot that comes with that you pay for the M365 platform. Some of this stuff you can kind of do with the free version, but it's not as sophisticated. So before I share Word, I'm gonna share the Microsoft 365 app. So when you subscribe, you will have access to an application that looks like this. And the app itself is, you'll see, it looks like the rest of your Microsoft 365 platform. You'll see up here, there's work and web. One of the things that is different between Copilot for M365 and the free version is that this version can see your data, it can see your documents, can see any information that you have stored in SharePoint or OneDrive for Business that you have access to. And Jeff is going to talk a little bit later about data governance and the importance of setting the right permissions. But in essence, this version can see all of your private information, but not share it publicly. So anything that it does within your environment, it will do without revealing that data to the public at large, as opposed to if you're using the public version, the web version of Copilot, and you wanted it to analyze data, and you uploaded that data, let's say a spreadsheet or a Word document or some other database, that information can be available to other people because now it's part of the public large language model, which is what Copilot is based on. So never share data on the public version, on the web version, because that information could be used by other people. So
it's going to be public.
It's going to be public, exactly. So, what can you do with this sort of thing? Well, the key to using Copilot well is two things. First, treat it like a human being. Think of it as a brand new intern that is, coming to work for you, and is going to it's going to help you do your job, but it doesn't really know much about you, doesn't really know much about your business, so it has to learn about you. So the more you use it, the more interactive you become, the better it is at helping you do your job. So for example, I can say, I can ask it, what are the latest cyber security threats that I should worry about? So it goes out and it does two things. One, it will provide information based on what it finds publicly. Now, what if I take that same prompt, right? Because this is all about these prompts. And I go to work and I say, what are the latest? I can't type, as my wife will tell you.
Not a requirement to be a IT professional.
I actually did take typing as a kid, so.
Now you're telling them how old we are, Lewis.
Yeah.
I had a typing class in high school as well, but that was a long time ago.
So now the information is rendered slightly differently. So if we would go back to the top, it'll say from your company. So this is information that it found that we have in our network someplace, in our SharePoint, in our OneDrive for Business that I have access to. So it found this information based on documents that we have within our environment, but then it also went out to the web and got the same information. You notice that when I did it here, it only provided information on the web because it only can have access to that. So that's the two big differences between the work and the web tab. The other thing that you should know is that the more interactive, the more you treat it as a human being, the better the data that it's rendered. So for example, if I said in the persona of a marketing director, so, and I didn't give it any information other than just what you saw me type. Everything else it's picking up out from the internet. And I haven't asked this question before, so this is, I don't know what it's gonna do, but it figured out, okay, first I need to figure out who Alvarez Technology Group is. And so it went out, found our website, found our, created strengths and weaknesses. I don't know where it got this information from. That's it. But I can you see these additional prompts down here. This is what it suggests are additional questions that you can ask it. This is the longest I've ever seen it wait. I think we broke Copilot. Well, and we don't have much time, so I'm just going to stop it there. And I want to show you a couple of more things real quick, and then I'll turn it over to Jeff to talk a little bit about some of the security concerns that that we should be aware of when using Copilot. All right, so I'm going to share a couple of documents, and then we're going to kind of show you the power of what you can do with Copilot in applications other like PowerPoint. So this is a document that we created talking about cyber insurance compliance for 2024. Pretty straightforward. Just something that we wanted to share with our clients last year. And I want to show you that document because now I'm going to go into PowerPoint. And share that. And in PowerPoint, I'm going to call up Copilot. So when you have Copilot licensed, you will see this icon in all of your applications that have access to Copilot. And I'm going to say, create a presentation based on this document. And then I use a slash to be able to do cyber. So that same document that I showed you earlier is the document I'm asking it to use as a reference for creating this presentation. One of the things that is really powerful in my mind about Copilot using it this way is it's kind of creating the drafts for you. Sometimes we look at a present, at something like this, and hey, I have to create this presentation for a group of people, and I just don't really know where to start. And if you just write some notes down and you say, okay, take these notes and create a draft for me. It's not going to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you can see that it took that document and not only did it create the slides, but it created images. One of the things about these images is these are not stock images. These are not images that it's going to some collection of images and presenting you. These are actual images it created for this presentation. They are completely unique. They're not copyrighted. They're not anything that you ever have to worry about using, because these images are just images that it created for you. So you can see that, yeah, that's an awful image. I would not use that one, but okay.
Wow.
Like I said, it's not perfect, but it's a really good start at doing
Copilot
things.
and send it out as is. Look at it. Review it first.
Exactly.
Highly recommend that.
So Jeff, in the last few minutes that we have, let's talk a little bit about security concerns that folks should have when they are using Copilot for M365.
Yeah, I think it's probably pretty apparent what some of the security issues might be, even for lay people or lay persons. It's a very powerful search engine with analytical capability, right? So it's optimized, as you highlighted or mentioned earlier, to work on Microsoft data in SharePoint, in the different sites that might be created in the SharePoint environment, and also OneDrive for Business. So the first concern, first thing that organizations want to do is make sure that their permissions are as they expect them to be, as far as membership in the different various groups. Because if somebody has a Copilot license, basically Copilot's going to run its analysis on the data that user has access to, right? So if they happen to be mistakenly placed in the HR group or mistakenly placed in the financial group, that person will be very easily be able to get information they probably shouldn't have access to. So that would be the first step, sort of the first level of security. And organizations moving forward are going to have to do much more review of those permissions and adhere to what's called least privilege access, which is the minimum access a user needs to do their job functions, to make sure that they're not in groups where conflict, or sites rather, when you're talking about SharePoint, we're talking about sites, which you can think of as equivalent or analogous to groups, to make sure that the proper roles are defined and your users have the minimum access required to do their job. Now, in higher levels, if we're looking at there's a back-end service in Microsoft called Purview, which is where all the data loss prevention, a lot of the security for M365 and the Microsoft Cloud environment in general exists. There's some automation for security when you get to those higher levels, but they do require higher M365 license levels, such as the E3 license or the E5 license, if you're familiar with how Microsoft licenses access for M365. There's automation there where if data is marked as confidential or sensitive, Copilot will not return information from those types of documents. So but the basic is to really get started and really make sure that you have your user access control squared away, and it's reviewed regularly. So businesses are, in the past, a lot of businesses say, well, I just want to give access to everybody because I don't want to have to go and manage the user permissions. And, to some extent, that's a shared responsibility for our clients, between us and our clients. But our clients really know their data. They really know who should have access to what kinds of data. And I think going forward, organizations are going to have to be much more involved in the management of the rights and their data to ensure that somebody can't use a Copilot prompt to go out and access information that they should not be accessing. So you see that we're almost at the bottom of the hour. So I'll leave it there. We might have another topic just to talk about Copilot and security in a future meetup. There's a lot more that can be discussed. Maybe we've got May. I think May is open with a topic we could consider doing another session about Copilot and all the security concerns with Copilot AI.
Yeah, we can talk about data tagging, which is another feature of using Copilot to be the most effective that it can be. But the bottom line is that Copilot is a very powerful tool. The good news is if you want to test it out, you can get a trial for 30 days to play with it and decide whether you want to keep it or not. We can help you get that trial set up. We recommend that if you are going to roll it out, rather than rolling it out to everybody right away, that you select a small pilot group and have those folks use it. You don't have to license it for everybody. You can license it for one person in the organization or all of them. So you have that flexibility. We work with the clients that we've helped implement Copilot. We offer a package that we kind of create a facilitated set of meetings for the first few weeks of the rollout, so that we can continue momentum and learn from each other and build a kind of a work group where folks can exchange ideas and best practices and ways that they've been using Copilot that they can share with their coworkers. So very powerful tool. I think it's here to stay. It's only going to get better. There's a new capability that's coming out in April called AI agents that Copilot is going to make available. And what those are essentially very specific type of Copilot AI assistants that are designed to help with specific functions. So think of an HR agent or an agent for a receptionist, things like that have very specific duties and responsibilities, very concentrated, and can be taught to do those particular jobs really, really well. And we can talk about that in a future meetup. But thank you all for attending. We are at the bottom of the hour, and as promised, I want to make sure that you can get back to work. Rodney, your answer is the Copilot for M365. Yes, it's specifically for Microsoft applications. However, there are uses that Copilot can interact with other apps. A lot of folks are creating hooks into Copilot from other applications. So even Adobe might have one. We'll have to check and see. But it's because Copilot is becoming such a critical component to business success, a lot of vendors and application manufacturers are tying their products into it as well. So let us know if you want us to do that research for you. Happy to find out if you can't find out on your own. But with that, thank you so much for attending. We will be posting this recording sometime in the next couple of weeks up on our website, so you can share it with your friends and other folks that weren't able to attend that you think might get some value out of this. So with that, awesome. I wish you all the best.
Everyone. Thanks for attending.
And we will see you in April.
Take care, everyone.